hoping to wrap it up today, but I can see that you guys are jaded. Sorry. Great. All right, so let's just kick off from where we stopped the last time. Where did we stop the last time? Okay, yes, this is where we stopped. All right. So the Scrum team, right? Let me fix this. So what does the Scrum team do? The Scrum team, like we said earlier, hopefully you guys still remember. I said basically it consists of 3 people, right? And it consists of the product owner, the Scrum Master, and then the development team, right? The development team is basically your engineers, your QA people, your design people, the number of people that you need to put into the team, right? Irrespective of how much work is done. So your QA is basically people who test the work that you have done to make sure that that work is decent enough to go into production, right? And that's your QA. Your design people are the people who do the necessary designs and then send you into give it to the people who are going to work on the designs to then develop it. And then your front-end engineer, your back-end engineer, or your mobile engineer, depending on what kind of application you're trying to build, right? Your DevOps people are the people who push your platforms into production, right? So basically, that's basically all you need as the development team. Then there's a Scrum Master who acts as the facilitator coach between the product owner and then the Scrum team. While your team, excuse me, your product owner is the person who shapes the product, decides what user stories. Next week we'll take a look at user stories as well. Who decides what user stories are going into to be built and which ones are priority as against the other items in the backlog, right? So the Scrum key feature number 1 is traditional and self-organizing. For your Scrum team, it's usually self-organizing. Self-organizing means that people are easy. It's easier for you to quickly resolve issues, right? And there isn't really a manager per se, except for the Scrum Master. What the Scrum Master will do is basically be able to, guide you and put you to the right steps on how to do Scrum, right? On how to, assign tickets, on how to size tickets and the rest. That's basically what a Scrum Master would do, right? Next week, we would also take a look at the sizing and the rest. Also, it's cross-functional, like I said earlier. Cross-functional means that it's not just one person or one type of people that will be in the team. You would have different types of people. You would have your designer from another unit. You have your backend engineer from another unit, your QA person from another service, and you build your Scrum team around those people so that you can develop. Is your traditional team is more or less, this is the way we want to go about it, but that's way different from the Scrum team itself, right? So what is a product backlog, right? A product backlog is a list of everything that you want to do inside that project, right? A list of items that you want to do. So if you've looked at 20 million things that you want to do for that particular product, you list all of those things out and then you put it in your backlog. Next week when we are doing practicals, I'll show you what a product backlog looks like. So you have a bunch of items. As a user, I want to be able to do this. As a user, I want to be able to do this. So you have a lot of items in that category, right? So since backlog lists all of the work on the project, everything you have to do from start to finish will be posted in that backlog. And the backlog it doesn't end, right? It's a living product. What that means is you will continue to add tasks into it as you go along, right? You continue to put items into them as you go along. The product owner is responsible for the product backlog, including its content, availability, and priority ordering. What that means is the product manager or the product owner will be the one to put it in terms of priority, right? So in terms of priority means that this is what we want to do for, this is what we want to do in terms of for this particular sprint. Like I said, 2-week sprint, 3-week sprint, or 4-week. This is what we want to do for this particular sprint. And this is what we are going to do for next sprint, right? So that your product owner will be the one to arrange that. The product backlog is never complete, like I said, and evolves along with the product and environment in which it will be used. It will continue to change. New priorities will come in, new things will come in. So you continue to, continue to have those new things as you go along and in your product backlog. Yes, so higher order product backlog items, clear and more details than lower. So what that means is, so you have a list of all the items that you want to take. What you do is you have everything at the top, right? The priority ones will go to the top, and the lower prioritized ones will go to the bottom, right? So if you have a list of 10 things and 5 things are priority, or a list of 20 things and 5 things are priority to be done in the next 2 weeks. So all of those 5 things will move up, right? And then the other ones will come down, right? It needs to be sized and then clarified so the team can consume them in one sprint. So what that means is you only put things at the top of the backlog for things that you want to do for a particular 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on how you want to go about it, right? Right. So product backlog items. As a team, we estimate the t-shirt size of this. So next week when we are going through practicals, we'll look at what we call estimation, right? And what does estimation mean? Estimation means that the amount of effort that would go into that particular task or that particular ticket, as we call it in Agile. What that means is, if I say I want to let people to be able to sign in with Google, or people to be able to sign in with their ID card, the engineers would sit down on something called sprint planning, right? And then decide that how long would this take us, or how long would this take one engineer, right, to do? Is it going to take an engineer 1 day? Is it going to take an engineer 2 days? Is it going to take an engineer 3 days, right? So that is that's what sprint planning basically is all about. The team determines the complexity of each product backlog item, and then these are the steps. They will now tell you how they are going to implement it, right? The team determines how the backlog item will be achieved. What that means is, are they going to do this one first? Are they going to do this one last? Or which ones are priority? And then you start giving it different sizes, right? So I'll also show you what sizing means and how you size. Each organization is different when it comes to sizing. So as a Scrum Master, when you begin your job as a Scrum Master, if there's an existing pattern, on the go, where, how can I call it? If there's an existing pattern and that it already exists in terms of size, and you can follow it, or you can decide to fine tune to suit what suits the team. So, but each organization determines what suits them. Some will say small, extra small, medium, large, and extra large, right? And they'll put either work hours or days or weeks on those tickets, right? So once you analyze a ticket, you now say, for this particular ticket, this is, and the small will probably be, okay, I'll finish this in 2 days, or I'll finish this in 1 day. You can say, you look at another ticket and say, this is a medium, and I'm going to finish this in 5 days, or I'm going to finish this in 3 days, right? So as a team, the person who is going to work on that ticket will take that ticket and say, okay, this is what we want to do. And I'm going to finish this particular task in 2 to 3 days. Right. Any questions so far, guys? So I have a little cold as well. Are we good? Rahman and Busala. I know Busala might not be able to speak, so feel free to drop a comment. Great. All right. All right. So this is just an example, the hotel software backlog system. So we have the product backlog item. So on the left is the items: allow a guest to reserve a room, allow a guest to cancel a reservation, allow a guest to change the date of a reservation, allow a hotel manager to run revenue reports. and then improve exception handling. So you see the different complexities and the efforts that it will take. So this person says this one is a small, this one says this one is an extra small, this one is a medium, this is a medium, and then this is a large. Right? These things just basically shows that this is how long the complexity or the effort that it will take for them to be able to access or to be able to finish this task. That's basically what it means, right? Yes, and then product backlog grooming. So product backlog grooming is an ongoing process in which the product owner and the team collaborate on the details of the product backlog items, coming to a shared understanding of what is to be accomplished. What that means is when everybody comes together as a team, right, they look at all the tickets and say, okay, all the tasks on the plate, okay, this is everything. They open the first ticket and then the product manager would explain to say, this is what this means, right? This is what we want this user to be able to do, right? This is there. Are we going to have any dependency? Are we going to need someone from design to help us do this? Or are we going to need someone from compliance or from legal or from HR to make some input, right? So you look at all of the description of that ticket, right? And then you size that ticket, right? And if you go to the left, you see the different sizes. You say, as a hotel guest, I want to reserve a room online. I'm saying this is small and it will take me 1 day, right? As a hotel manager, I want to view my revenue for the month. This is also small, but it will take me 2 days, right? Or this is number 2. Product backlog, as a hotel guest, I want to change the date of my current reservation. This is a large, and this is ticket 3, right? So you look at all of those tickets one by one, and you continue to break it down. If the team feels that the ticket is too large, right, they break it down into maybe 2 items or 3 items, and then they push the other parts push the other parts back to the backlog, and then they work on those existing tickets, right? So that's basically what grooming is. Grooming means that we look at everything on our plate, we get clarity on what needs to be done, and then we then have the session. Basically, that's what it means. Yes, so product owner must get stories to a consumable state. Stories going into the next sprint needs to be refined to be understood and sized by its dynamic. Can be sized. If it cannot be sized, then it's not ready, right? Like I said, the product backlog is a living thing. New tickets would always continue to grow. Always continue to grow. You continue to have things to do in that. So new user requirements will come up, new issues will come up, and then you want to continue to add those into a backlog, right? Yeah, it's sufficiently always changing to identify what the team, if it's always changing. The product backlog is always changing. Then the sprint, right? I remember saying that the sprint basically means that the amount of work that we are going to do in a sprint. So 2-week sprints and 3-week sprints are the most popular ones, but you typically have 4-week sprints as well. But 2-week sprints and 3-week sprints are the popular ones. So what are the sprint basics, right? At the end of the sprint, consistent iteration of time box, like I said, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where the team completes a specific group of tasks from start to finish. Time box duration is consistent from sprint to sprint. Time boxes vary from team to team between 2 to 4 weeks. Some people do 2, some people do 3, and then some people do 4. Each sprint can be thought of as a project. The project, like projects, right? Sprints are used to accomplish something. What that means, if we say for these first 2 weeks, we want people to be able to sign in with their email. That's what we would accomplish in this sprint. The next 2 weeks, we say we want people to be able to sign in with their biometrics, right? In the next 2 weeks, that's what we are going to do as well, right? So each sprint builds incrementally on the work of the prior sprints, right? So if you've done something next week, you want to release something else in another sprint. So you continue to build until users have a working software that they continue to use. The elements of the sprint, we plan the work, which is more or less your grooming and your planning. Like I said earlier, everything that needs to go into that sprint is looked at, and then we size it, right? And then we do the work, which is the 2-week sprint, the 3-week sprint, or the 4-week sprint. So you do all that work doing that. So you're not just doing the work, you're also coordinating the work, which is also the work of the Scrum Master. And then you review the work. At the end of the sprint, you say, okay, look, this is ready for deployment to production. When you do a review to the people who need it, maybe the product owner, and then the chief product officer, or whoever it is that has requested for that particular feature, and then you deploy, right? So 0-1 sprint planning, you plan the work, you do the work, you coordinate the work, which is also your daily Scrum, and then you review the work, which is your sprint review, and then your sprint retrospective. Your sprint retrospective is basically looking at what you've done as a team and say, okay, look, where did we get it wrong, and how did they get it wrong? How can we get better as a team? Basically. Changes during the sprint. Like I said, I mean, things will, so remember when we were talking about project management, there would always be, what's it called? There would always be, what's that English called again? Changes, scope creep along the line, but it's handled differently when it comes to Agile, right? And how do I mean? In Agile, you continue to have changes within the sprint. So let's say you want to take 10 things into the sprint this time around, right? And at the end of the day, someone comes along, the management comes along the side and say, we've got some user feedback, and this is priority. What would happen is you take a look at everything you want to accomplish, and then you reprioritize. Reprioritize means that we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we say, how do we want to prioritize it? Which ones are priority now? Which one should we push back? So everybody comes to get on a call or a sync call, an alignment call, and say, okay, we've done 1, 2, 3. It remains 4, 5, 6, 7, right? We are bringing 3 more new items, right? So how should we prioritize? Should we abandon the ones that are already in the sprint or in the backlog? And how do we, reprioritize and reanalyze that? So that's basically what changes during the sprint typically means. So no changes are made that would endanger the goal. Yes. So the goal is for you to deliver something. So when you want to deliver it, you say, okay, look, this is what we want to do in this sprint. You put that comment down, right? Quality goals do not increase, and scope may be clarified and negotiated as some is. Like I said, scope will always change. People, there would always be emergencies and that along the line. But your job really is to say, these are the new priorities. Team, how do we prioritize, and how do we go about it? Starting the sprint. So we would have, so I mentioned a few things. We have the product backlog, and then we have the sprint backlog. The product backlog is everything that we want to do on the project, on the product. A sprint backlog is everything that we want to do within that sprint, right? So within the 2 weeks, or within the 3-week period, or within the 4-week period. Right. So, and then you do your daily Scrum, where you do, what did we do yesterday? What did we do today? And then what will we be doing in the final day? What we'll be doing later, or what are the blockers, or what issues do you have? Right. And then at the end of the 2-week sprint, we ship something into products, right? We ship something into the user to use. That's basically the Scrum process, and then the sprint process. When planning a sprint, you will establish the goals of your sprint. So like I said, at the beginning of that sprint, you say, for this 2-week period, what we want to achieve is so that people will be able to sign in with their emails, whether Google or whether Yahoo or whether Outlook, whatever it is. So you type that down, and then you put it, and then you share that with everybody, right? Once you've established that fact, you now say, choose the user stories that support those goals, right? So you've said, you want to do this, and then you've highlighted the items or the tasks that will be able to do that. So you pick all those tasks, and then you put them into your user story, right? And then you now say, break user stories into specific tasks. What that means is you pick those tasks, and then you now continue to break them down, put descriptions into them, so that the engineer who is going to start working on them will realize, or will know what it is that they need to do. Once that is done, you create a sprint backlog where everyone will be able to move their tickets and see what it is that needs to be done, and then goes ahead to move those tickets as they go along. Yes, so doing work during the sprint backlog. Once a story starts, work should continue until the story meets the definition of done. Definition of done literally means that once they are writing that story, the what's it called? The product manager will say, this is what we want to do for this ticket to be complete. This ticket must be able, this task must meet a certain criteria, right? So for example, so like if you go to make your hair and you say, this is the style I want, right? And you say, I want all back, or I want kulese, or whatever it is that you women call it. And then that person's job is not done until she's finished the job and you are satisfied that, yes, this is the job that you want to do, right? Or like if Abdulrahman wants to go and cut his hair and says, okay, I want like a small pattern on the side. If he finishes cutting his hair and the person doesn't put the pattern, then that hair is not complete or that job is not done. It's the same thing. That's what we call definition of done. Definition of done means that for this task to be done, right, this so and so must be tested and make sure that this particular issue has been resolved, right? Any team member can add, delete, or change the sprint backlog. Additional work for the sprint can emerge from existing stories in the sprint. The team wins and loses together. Scrum Master is responsible for the resolution of impediment. So your Scrum Master, as a Scrum Master, the job you'll be doing is being able to take out all of those issues. Say, have Rahman and I have Rahman and Busola in my class, and I want to be able to. Rahman is blocking me from delivering a particular object. The job of the Scrum Master is to have a conversation with Rahman and ask him why he's blocking, right? And say, okay, this is the issue. We need to resolve it. It's beyond our control. We need to speak to the guys in legal, or we need to speak to the guys in DevOps, right? So we then go to those guys in DevOps, and then we start having conversations around, around those people. So that's the work of the Scrum Master. So your daily Scrum is what basically covers 3 items as per the Scrum guide, which means that what did you do yesterday? Means that what ticket did you work on yesterday? Were you able to do any amount of work? What will you do today, right? It means that, okay, today as Scrum, you done some work today. What will you be continue? What will you continue to work with as the day goes along? Do you have any blocker? Means is Rahman blocking you, or is Ife blocking you, or is Busola blocking you, right? And then the job of the Scrum Master is, okay, so person is blocking you. How do we resolve it? And then Scrum Master now, gets those things resolved. For daily stand-ups, usually shouldn't last more than 30 minutes. Like I said, Scrum is time box for everything. Shouldn't last more than 30 minutes, right? Anyone may attend, but only the team and Scrum Master may talk, right? So basically, those are the people that are. I mean, I usually invite other people into Scrum meetings and say, okay, what are you guys working on? I just say, look, jump onto the call and then let's have a quick, and you can see what each engineer is working on. Focus of status of current work, priorities, and impediments, right? Find out what has been done, what the priorities are, and then what will be going on into the next, what are the issues that needs to be resolved. Daily Scrum meetings are for coordination and not problem solving, right? So it's basically just to catch up on what's happening so that engineers are just not going off on their own. If there are issues to be solved, take it outside the Scrum meeting, and then you sync with the engineer or person one-on-one, and then help them to resolve their issues. Scrum meetings are basically not for you to resolve issues. They are basically for you to catch up on what has been done, what is going to be done, and then if there are any issues along the way. Ending the sprints, the sprint review, right? So the sprint review basically is the work that we've done within the 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We want to demo it so that it's working, right? So that people know that it meets the definition of the criteria of definition of done that was given to us, and then there are no issues for the people that are going to use it, right? The entire team participates, like I said, show off the product like a demo. So there'll be a run through whoever the engineer or the QA person that has worked on it, and then they do, and then the product owner as well. They'll do a run through of what that particular task is meant to do, and then they give everybody a run through, right? Maximum of 1 hour per week per sprint duration. So if a 2 week sprint, your review is 1 hour. If it's a 3 week sprint, your review is 1.5 hours. If it's a 4 week sprint, then your review is 2 hours, right? Basically informal, just fire up your computer, show them what it is that has been done. If there are any feedbacks, you take it and then you go back into iteration. Invite everyone and everyone who may be interested in the product. That means all the necessary stakeholders from products, from management, from leadership, or from the team that has asked you to design that particular feature. It is intended to elicit feedback and foster collaboration. What that means is if there is an issue with your if they want to add an additional feature, I mean, you get all of that feedback, or if they want you to tweak a few things, maybe copy changes and a few other things, you get that feedback in the demo session, right? So once you get that and you are good, everything works according to plan, then you are good to go into production. That's basically what the sprint review is. It's basically a demo session for you to find out what if you did was okay, and then if there are any feedback that you need to take back to the drawing board. And then the sprint retrospective is basically for the team without any external party, right? So assuming I'm Scrum Master, Busola is front-end engineer and Raman is the QA engineer or the back-end engineer. So all of us jump on a call and we say, okay, what did we do well, right? Okay, we're able to finish this, we're able to resolve this. What didn't go well? Okay, we had issues. We had a lot of dependency issues with DevOps. We had a lot of dependency issues with the person that is approving our tickets, right? Those are the issues that we have. Finally, what actions do we need to make moving forward to fix? What that means is, how do we resolve our constantly evolving dependency issues, right? I mean, do we want to plan ahead so that whenever everyone wants to do something, if we need to get something from DevOps team, we tell them before we start to bring that, look, we are going to work on so issues. We are going to need you to be able to develop to fix all of these issues as we go along, right? So that's basically your sprint retrospective. That you same time frame as the review, 1 hour for 2 week sprints, 1.5 hours for 3 week sprints, and then 2 hours for a 4 week sprint. The results should be inputs, stories into the backlogs done at the end of every sprint. So every time you finish a sprint, you should always raise this issue, and that would help you to plan ahead. The sprint retrospective is an opportunity for the Scrum team to inspect itself and create plan for improvements to be enacted during the next sprint, right? All Scrum team members participate except for the product owner, unless asked to participate. I usually like to invite the product owner because there are sometimes the product team or the team generally wants to give some feedback to the product owner, not to chastise the product owner, but so that it would help their job going forward in terms of tickets coming in within the sprints and not doing alignment calls. I mean, so those things, depending on what works for you, but I always advise, just invite the product owner so that the product owner knows that, what's working and then what we need to change as a team to make sure that, items are being delivered correctly. Right, these are the guidelines the team members agree to conduct themselves under in the sprint as defined by the Scrum teams. Team stories will be granular enough when possible to deliver within 1 to 2 days. We would have nightly builds to integration. Any team member can assist in completing any work item. Any blocks should be addressed when they are encountered and mentioned in the stand-up. If it's not already removed, instant messaging open to teammates during the sprint. Don't be late to meetings. Use the sneaker net whenever possible and email only when necessary. Don't kill the Scrum Master. What those kill the Scrum Master basically means that don't overburden him with too many things. And don't wait till the final, when you're about to give feedback and you're saying you're blocked, right? Always let them know ahead of time that it can help to resolve, any issue that is going to have. It's actually quite long. Yeah, so that's basically class as it is. Like I said, next week, I can see that you guys are tired. Next week, what we'll do is we'll take a look at product backlog, what a product backlog looks like. Let me see if I can quickly share that. Just a second. All right, okay, let me quickly share this. So this is what let me know if you guys can see my new screen. Can you guys see what I'm sharing? Abdurrahman and Busara. Great. All right. So this is what the backlog is like. We'll take a deeper look next week as we round up the class, right? So these are the items that we want to do everything in the sprint, right? So every time, so once you want to start the sprint, you move this ticket, right, from here, and then you drag it up to here. So, right, so move to class sprint here. So this is what we are going to work on. I mean, I'll show you guys all of this next week, and then you see how this works. So this is what a backlog is everything that we want to do on this project, and then the sprint is what we want to do for the next two sprints. It's going to ask us to add dates. So you would add the dates when you want it to start, 2 weeks. So if you're saying it's a 2-week sprint, 3-week sprint, 4-week sprint, you add all of those, and then you add your sprint goals as well. For this sprint, what we want to do is people should be able to sign up with their emails and their access cards, and then you start your sprint, and then people start working on their tasks. Right. And then, I mean, we'll go through all of that one after the other next week, and then everyone sees how Jira works and how it works to create sprints. Yeah, so this typically how it, but I would also look at how a story points, how a user story is written, right? So if you look to the right, you see the description of what I want to do. I want to receive notifications for a successful clock in and clock out, leave approvals, and other attendance related events, so I can stay informed about, so this is a definition of done. I'm now going to say, so when the engineer is building, he has to put all of this in mind. And once that is done, you can just put a comment to say this has been done, and then QA can test, right? So, but I mean, so that you guys can go home, rest, and get ready for the week and the weekend as well. So we'll take all of this next week. We'll do practicals next week, and then we can do a proper walkthrough on how Scrum and Agile works as it relates to Jira. Are we good, people? Draman.
Yeah.
Great. So I mean, let me know. Since we're doing practicals next week, I'm not sure what your shift period looks like. Let me know what time period works so that we can schedule something. And we should be done in like an hour and a half or two, typical class time. But next weekend works, I don't think, so that you guys can get ready for Christmas.
Okay, sir.
I mean, I'll ask, what's her name, Jamie, to get time suggestions from everyone so that everyone is available and good to go for the class sessions. I would also share the slides for the courses, and then you guys can go through it over time.
Okay.
Great. You guys should try and rest. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
I'll safe travels home. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.